Okay, boxing fans, I'm going to do my prediction now for Lucas Browne versus Richard Towers. Richard Towers is undefeated in 14 contests, 11 of which coming by way of knockout. Lucas Browne is undefeated in 17 contests, 15 of which coming by way of knockout. So as you can see, both have got decent power, both are heavy-handed, very strong and have natural power. The only downside to these guys is both of them are, pretty much learning on the job, and both of these guys are 34 years old. Now, that's not great in terms of, coming into boxing. Realistically, boxers are at their prime between the ages of like 28 to 32. At 33, that's the real, no athlete is really good at the age of 33, in like athletic sports. But, 34 years old, they're going on. This is a Commonwealth title eliminator. The winner of this faces prize. Realistically, on paper, this is a 50-50 fight, but you gotta look at this and say, is there anything that can tip the balance in the favour of either Lucas Browne or Richard Towers? They've both been saying this is going to be a scrap. They've both been saying that it's going to be not one for the purists, it's going to be one for the ones who like blood, guts, and basically murder, and that's what I like. So let's go for it. Anyway, what do I see that is going to tip the balance in the favour of one of these fighters? And I've got to tell you, I'm tipping in favour of Lucas Browne, and I'll tell you why. Two reasons: competition and activity. Lucas Browne has undoubtedly fought the better competition than Richard Towers. Lucas Browne has fought James Toney and beat him via unanimous decision in a good fight where he basically jabbed James Toney to death. James Toney's still a good opponent. He's still got great defense. The only negative to him, I would say, is obviously he's fat, getting old, and he can't really pull the trigger anymore. But Lucas Browne beat him, and it's not like James Toney isn't getting victories. He's knocked out his opponent straight after losing to Lucas Browne. And when I spoke to James Toney's manager, that was one of the ones they went, well, we just lost that fight. That one, we didn't really have any excuses for that. They just said, we lost that fight. So I've got to give it to Lucas Browne for that. The next one would be obviously Travis Walker, who is a good fighter, glorified journeyman right now, still heavy hitter. He still, comes and looks to knock out his opponent, big puncher. You see, I like him. I think that's a good competition for, a lot of fighters coming through. If David Price fought him, I would not be, arguing. I think that would be a good fight for him. There's a lot of fighters that are good stepping stone fighters, and it seems a lot of people, miss them out. I just thought, obviously, Lucas Browne didn't. He took that fight. He did get dropped in that fight, which shows that Lucas Browne can be hurt. But he got up. He shown heart. He got up and he beat up Travis Walker, showing his heavy hands. Beating Walker backwards, and ended up stopping him, which is quite good. I think he dropped him multiple times too. So anyway, like I said, Lucas Browne has fought better competition than anybody. Not only Richard Towers has fought, but when you look at it, he's fought better competition than even the Commonwealth champion himself, David Price, has fought up until today. And when I say that, I mean victories. I would say Tony Thompson's obviously better than the whole lot of them put together, but that no one beats Tony Thompson, so I'm not counting that as any type of victory. Okay, moving on from the competition, and I look at the activity. You got two polar opposites here. Lucas Browne has been very active this year. He's fought 3 times, and this will be his 4th fight this year. Richard Towers, being a 34-year-old guy coming under the radar, you'd think he'd be a lot more active. He's not been active at all. His last fight was in August 2012, where he narrowly got past Gregory Toney. I mean, I've seen fights, where people get stopped, and that was one of the worst refereeing displays I've seen for a long time. Well, up until recently, I think I saw 1 or 2 refereeing. Oh, the Klitschko one was significantly worse, but that was a bad one. I mean, Richard Towers could have got stopped, several times in that fight, but he's shown heart, he's shown guts, he came through it, he's shown a good chin, and he ended up getting the stoppage victory when Gregory Toney just went, I can't beat this guy, and pretty much quit. 18 months on, he's not had a fight since. What's he done in this 18-month layoff? I do not know. Has he learnt anything new? He has been spotting a lot of good opponents. Has he learnt anything new? I don't know. But there's going to be a few things that only happen when you're actually inside a competitive fight, inside the ring, not including sparring, right? You need to gauge distance. Can Richard Towers still gauge distance? Will there be other aspects of ring rust like stamina? Will he have got any better? Who knows? But I expect him to be ring rusty. I expect him to have problems, gauging the distance. And I expect, Lucas Towers being the more active fighter, the more progressive fighter, to be able to get underneath his jab. His jab's not brilliant, Richard Towers. It's more of just a pouring, rangefinder. I see him getting underneath that, slipping the other shot and attacking Richard Towers to the body and maybe even to the head and taking him out, similar to how Gregory Tony should have done. But yeah, I just can't look past Lucas Browne for this fight. He's been more active, fought the better competition, and you look at the 18-month layoff for Richard Towers. Is there going to be ring rust? Probably. Is there going to be stamina issues? Probably. You can only learn so much actually, in sparring. 18 months is too long without having a competitive fight in the ring, in my opinion. So I'm going to say Lucas Browne wins this fight via way of knockout.